So, hi everyone. I'm used to getting feedback, so I did ask if I could have some from the session today. So it'd be great for either sharing commentary if you can on chats, or being able to sort of follow up after this to let me know what this means to you, and whether or not you enjoyed the session or what you would like to see from me if I don't showcase it to you today. So, what is AI and where does it fit and what does it mean to people? And obviously, why is it so important at the moment? In the data and AI space, we do lump them together from a Microsoft perspective. Generally, we tend to focus on artificial intelligence really in the area of machine learning. So that's key when you're going out to sort of enterprises, and it's generally where you see it being utilized. And then you go into the other aspects of artificial intelligence around the cognitive search and the knowledge mining and all those capabilities, the ability to transcript and transcribe as you're speaking. So that speech to text that you may see on forums similar to this, where you will have a subtitle appearing at the bottom of the page as people are actually sort of speaking. Back in the day, the BBC would have a team of people sitting there typing away on the news, so you could actually sort of see what people were saying. And this is around accessibility and being able to sort of get things to everybody at the same time, and part of the inclusion messaging. But the core of where things are actually working from an enterprise perspective really sits in that machine learning place. And it generally sits there. It's where companies are seeing the biggest return on investment for the time and effort for what they're putting into this. Within that, when you look at it, what I'm talking about within industries, and this is across all industries, we're seeing it in finance, in retail, in public sector, all different use cases for the machine learning. And the types of roles, and this is something I want to sort of help you with, is why would any of your pupils be interested in this? There's so many roles. You don't need to be a really, really technical coder to understand and utilize machine learning. We have partners that actually help us deliver. We have account exec sales teams that actually sort of sit at the front end of this, who understand the customer messaging and the customer stories. We have solution specialists like myself who will go deeper into that technology and the use cases. We have global black belts. That's actually a role at Microsoft, would you believe, who actually work with product group, who actually develop the capabilities and the tooling to enable this. And they sit there and they work with the teams to get that messaging out. We have AI Rangers. Again, another cool name for people, and they are actually going into the coding. So that's getting more into the technical side of things. And we have cloud solution architects, again, another technical role within it. And all of those roles are wrapped up. And we have marketeers, and we have all sorts of people building videos and all that other capability. So when you're thinking about talking to the children about where they're at, what they actually want to do, and what the level of understanding is needed to be able to get into business and understand how this works within business, then that's the level that we want to be able to say, this breaks out into many, many different points. So wrapped up again, let's go back into the what is AI. We're looking at that knowledge mining. That's your search. It's a Bing from Microsoft. In the UK, Google is much better. In the US, Bing's more 50-50. When you're looking at search, there is so many algorithms and capabilities sort of sitting behind that, so that it understands natural language. So back in the day when I first started out, we had to be really precise with what you put into a search bracket for it to be able to understand. Nowadays, on the phone, you can press a button, it will do speech to text, and you can say in your natural language what it is that you're actually searching for, and it will go and find it. And the speed and performance that you expect now within that is immense. And that's coming into enterprise. So those capabilities you want to bring into, let's take a retail example for this. You're looking at your clothes and your fashion, and the retailer wants to be able to give you the best experience within their website. So they're now looking at the content that they have. So we're back into this data part of the conversation. So you're now linking in to all these different data sets that they have. whether they have information, whether it's in store, whether it's sat in their supply chain systems, whether it's sat in their data pool that they might have. The data could be anywhere in their catalog that they have, and you want to be able to access this from the front end and give the best experience to the end user. We can then look at document process automations. There's another area within AI, and this is for people who are sitting down doing a job that is repetitive data input. So you may be filling in forms on a regular basis, and these forms are the same forms and the data is the same subset of data. And then you have robots who've been programmed to capture this information from, maybe it's a Word document, maybe it's a handwritten letter, to be able to analyze the way that it's been written and then be able to overlay that into the context of your report and understand it. So it fills the form in for you. And those are getting more and more sophisticated. And this is things like if you wanted to send in your insurance details and you'd written out your insurance details on a form and sent it in, the form would be scanned, the details as they're written out would be picked up, and then it would be put into the format so that you can search, and it goes into the database on the back end of that. So your front end is searching, your back end is sitting in the database, so it's there for reading in the future. And in finance, you need to hold on to these records for a minimum of 7 years, so you have a history there. And then you've got that capability that the robot then is actually doing this mass piece of work for you. And the aim of these things is to actually free the front person up to be able to use their intelligence to do more and to be more responsive. So it's about not putting the data in, but being able to take the data out and understand it and respond to that in a way that can't be done and automated. You then go into another area, which is conversational artificial intelligence. As I mentioned before about the ability to transcribe. So last week I was in a meeting and I had somebody presenting, and they had a very, very thick accent. And in the room, we were sat there and he kept going on about his hackathon that we were going to do. And we were all sitting in the room very confused at what an hackathon was. And actually what he was trying to say was hackathon. The algorithms that were sat in this conversational artificial intelligence, which were doing the transcribing piece, understood his accent and had been programmed to actually learn the way that he was speaking. And it was appearing on the bottom of the screen. So as he was speaking, we were actually able to look up at the screen and understand it. And then you start thinking these sort of scenarios actually allow real-time translations to be done as well. So now we're moving into a new area where you're starting to be able to do a live conversation with someone that they're listening and understanding in a different language from the one that you're using to present to them. Very, very clever capabilities. And then we look at the analytics capabilities and where those fit as well. So this is really the sort of strength sitting behind enterprises. You can collect all the data, and we've got huge facts about how much data is being created. But the ability to understand the data is where the focus is now sitting. So 95% of organizations are saying that they are adopting artificial intelligence, and they're accelerating their adoption to utilizing these capabilities. 80% of the enterprises are already using AI in production today. And then 81% have got positive return on investment. So everything that they've put into not just buying the technology, but the teams that they use to actually build it and put it in and create that. And they're seeing these returns in less than 2 years. So these are self-funding projects, basically, that are allowing this progress within organizations when they start to look at it. And one of the stories I really like to sort of talk about, because it's a catch-all, you can use this conversation for anybody, anywhere, in any organization, and every child will understand this one. And that's around bees. So when we look at the health of the planet, I think everyone is aware that we need bees to go out there, and they add so much value when they are helping with the seeds to generate in the fields. they're saying the quality of food without bees drops by 30% when it hasn't had that input into it. And they're very, very clever little beings with a huge range of skills. So one of the tools that we've done is we've put sensors into hives to be able to listen in to the way that they're performing, to understand the health and to look at them. There is something that they do, which is called swarming, where they get ready to leave. For some reason, they've outgrown the hive that they're living in and they're getting ready to leave. And we've worked out from listening to the bees that a swarm will take 21 days. So now we can reach out to the beekeepers and say, if you're starting to have a change in the ambience within your hive, then your bees are looking to get ready to leave. And it could be that they've produced more queens, so one of the queens is leaving. They've outgrown their hive, or there is an issue with the food in the location that they're at. So by being able to monitor, by being able to capture the information, then that actually is going back and actually enabling beekeepers, and especially amateur beekeepers, to improve the health and well-being of their bees. And then that works alongside the farmers to help sort of with the growth and the population of the seeds in the fields, and the spreading of wild flowers as well, which is hugely important to our future. They say if the bees go, I think there's about 10 years before humanity will no longer exist. So they're quite key. So it's a really nice story. It's a very good one to use. And there's another element to it as well, where the beekeeper can have a hands-free access to doing a regular report on the health of their hive. They can talk to it in a chatbot style, and they can input their information, and it's all captured, and then it's all ledgered, so they can compare and contrast from one week to another, 1 month to another, as they're actually managing and monitoring their bees and their health and well-being. So those are just a couple of glimpses, a couple of stories, hopefully to help you there with getting them invested and interested. If they want to look at something which is a little bit more different and creative, then you have AI being able to understand art and create art as well. So there was a lovely book written by a friend of mine. I can't remember his name right now, but I'll pop it in the chat for people later on if that's of interest to you. But they are actually now having programs that are learning to create and to monitor and build and design. And some of the artwork being produced by these machines has gone on sale and actually been bought by people. So there is an interest in artwork as well. So for those creatives who think that artificial intelligence is nothing to them, they just want to do art, well, there is actually a way of bringing art into artificial intelligence and to designing and programming on that side of things as well. So there is another aspect to it for you. And I think a final story for me around this will be around buildings and spatial awareness. So being able to understand what's happening, we have something called digital twins, where we can map the internal space of a building or a ship or any kind of physical space, and map that to be able to allow you to overlay different levels of information and start using it. So if you wanted to look at a ship going through, how many containers can I get into the ship? What happens as it goes through a route, and what does that look like from a carbon emissions perspective? Then you can actually have all the information you need to be able to really accurately measure and manage that without even seeing a ship on water.